Hey guys, Ja with JRSP, Johnson Reality Self Protection. So, I've been talking about the FCP from Fab Defense for a while, and I just want to show you guys how I would use this. There's really not a lot of information about this, and that's why, I'm kind of the expert on it because, I've been carrying an FCP and training with them for almost a decade now. I got my first FCP back in 2016, I believe. So yeah, that's almost a decade that I have owned FCPs and been training with them. But that being said, there's not a lot of information about this. Like, the Kelly Warden travel wrench. Kelly Warden has his own curriculum on how to use that. The Comtech Stinger by James Keating. You know, um, I believe James Keating has extensive material out there that shows you how to use this. I've never seen it myself, but in his initial back in the day when first kind of came out with them, and he made um, a video kind of demonstrating what it was and everything. He did a good job in that video of really explaining its use. He broke it down in a short video, and it's kind of to the point, simple. Like, you hold it like this right here and you put your keys on it. But I never put keys on. I never, I don't believe in SDKs, self defense keychains. I don't believe in self defense keychains because I'm not saying that, certain things that you can put on your keys, you can put this on your keys and it could become a keychain. But the thing is, I don't believe in self defense keychains because it kind of makes people only carry those because it was out of convenience. Oh, I can put it on my keys, so it's convenient to carry. No, you have to have a commitment to carry, and that's CTC, commitment to carry. And the thing is, you put keys on something, and the keys start flopping around. They start inhibiting exactly how hard you're gonna punch. That's how it was with Kubotans for me and stuff. I just don't believe in self-defense keychains. If you're gonna carry something, carry it because you made that decision to have a CTC, and you carry it because not out of convenience. You carry it because it can potentially save your life or help you get out of a risky situation. So, but anyhow, yeah, James Keating, he made this. He said, yeah, there's a key ring there. Like I say, I don't never carry it with a key ring, but you can hold it like this right here, or you can flip that up and hold it like this. They say don't hold it like this, but sometimes it feels better to hold it like this. So I've trained with it in both ways, but the inventor said to hold it like this, so it is what it is. But that being said, the Koga SD2, Bob Koga, there was an extensive material about how to use these things, but not with the FCP. You'll hardly find anything about this thing. The few things that you'll find about this is some videos people got this. Like me myself, I made a video back when I was using AI, talk to text or whatever it was, and that's another video that I'll probably end up deleting since I'm making this video now using my own voice and stuff. But yeah, there's hardly anything about this, hardly anything anybody demonstrating how to use it. You would think that I don't even know who designed this. Whoever designed this came up with one of the best things out there when it comes to force enhancers on the market, because this is the perfect conception of the Koso Koga SD2 and the Kelly Warden travel wrench. Now, looking at it, you're like, that looks completely different than both of those things. But in its use, it's like a perfect combination of the two devices. So you almost get two in one, and that's why I really love it. But let's go over here real quick before this video gets too long. So in forward grip here, it's you got that retention ring there because they don't want to call that a knuckle ring. I don't, because in the little bit of information you can get with this, like they definitely say this is not meant to be used as a knuckle duster. It was meant to be used as a control and restraint device for law enforcement, apparently. But I mean, you'll probably never see a cop or anything carrying something like this. It's probably more of a liability, like than anything, to like law enforcement agencies and stuff like that. You know, they carry pretty standardized stuff. Sorry, like I'm not a good talker, but they carry pretty standardized stuff. You know, their pepper spray, their taser, and their handcuffs, and their gun, and probably a second gun. You know, like but in maybe like baton or something, and that's pretty much all. In maybe a folding knife or a retention knife, but that's pretty much in probably not even that, because once again a knife is considered to be a liability um, to a lot of law enforcement agencies and stuff like that. But yeah, you'll probably never see them carrying stuff like this. But that was supposedly what this was made for. No, but you know, this is more of a civilian tool. Like, and in forward grip, once again, like you got it, the index fingers in that retention ring there, and you got what I call this barb protruding out the top, and then you got um, that little point down there protruding out the bottom, and you can hammer fist strike and do a lot of stabbing techniques. But where it really shines is if you place that thumb up here on that barb right here and do those type of techniques right here, as like, and my initiator, like basically the thing that like is the trigger, like um my instructor Brian Kanata, we talked about this, and he's like, yeah, you should have a thing that is that switch that like where it's go time. It's go time. It's like and there's really no going back. Like, and so um different people have different things that they do that will be that basically that tell that they're about to strike or something. Mine is basically like if I have to, if I'm like this right here, like hands in, it's like let me see if I can, yeah. If I'm like this right here, like hands low, right here, you're about to get something, and like if I ever do that, that's where it's about to go down. That's basically that initiator, that place where somebody put me in that position where now I know I have to strike. And the Cerdo Credo, never be afraid to strike. Somebody's put me in that position. I didn't want to do it, but I've been put in that situation. So now my hands are going to go out like this right here. And when they're out like this, some people may be like, oh, your hand should never be low or whatever. But right here, I'm not trying to indicate that I'm about to strike. Right here. Right here. At this moment, we're at a position where this person does not know what's coming, but I've already determined in my mind this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to go down. I'm going to hit this guy. I got to do it, like, because this guy has presented himself to be a threat, and I got to take him out. I got to neutralize the situation. E, engage, neutralize, and exit the situation. But we're at neutralize at this point. So, like, somebody's yeah, or whatever and stuff like that. They're getting in my face. They've probably already been warned, because I don't ever just, try and just haul off and attack somebody unless it's absolutely necessary. Usually I'm going to try and warn somebody, hey, this is not a good path that you're going down. Let's just, everybody, de-escalate and like go our own separate ways. But you may not get that time. It may be a situation where, it's popping off and you just have to do what you have to do. But yeah, my hands are here, and at this point, I'm not trying to, indicate that I'm in the fight or that I'm about to be the, initiator of the fight, or basically I'm about to preemptively strike. That's the best word that we can use right here, because that's what's going to happen if there aren't already hands flying and stuff like that. If hands were already flying, if I already knew the guy was an absolute threat, or guy or woman or whatever, and stuff like that, and they're coming, of course the hands are going to be up in a defensive, like, but if we're at that point where I know that I got to do what I got to do, okay, the hands are going to be here. That's the trigger right here. If I have to do this, it's like you got bad things coming to you. Like, because my intentions are, unfortunately, my intentions are good, but, you forced me to have bad intentions, to basically defend and protect myself and defend people that I love or whatever and stuff like that. I got a wife and kids and family that are probably going to be there and whatever. And if, I'm like this, I usually like to walk away, but I may be in a situation where my family's with me and I can't walk away. And so we've gone over this for a while. If I'm like this, this doesn't have to be you. You could have your own freaking trigger, but this is mine. And, I always am carrying something in my hand. I don't care. And this is great to have because you can flip this out of the way and stuff like that. And you got that retention ring and you can play around with it and do stuff like that. I love twirling it around and stuff like that. It just feels great. And I like to fidget with it. I have ADHD. So, like, it's kind of like a grown man's fidget spinner. But at that point, moving along, we're at that point. So since we're at that point, I got this in my hand. I can have my hands up and have this in there. But like the moment that the hands come down, I'm coming in for the attack right there. And you see, like you're already basically stabbed. This is a less lethal. I always want to say non-lethal sometimes, but everything is lethal. Some things are just not as lethal as others. This is a less lethal device, so it's made for less lethal stabbing, basically. I'm not getting that from the company. I'm just getting that from common sense right there, just from carrying this thing for like almost a decade now and like training with it and really getting a chance to feel it out. Yeah, this is for less lethal stabbing, basically, but you can do so many other things. It was made for control and restraint, basically, and you can absolutely do that with this thing. Okay, just due to its design, I mean, you can do a lot of pressing techniques, and when I say pressing, I'm not saying like pressure point and stuff like that. Pressure points are bullshit. Okay, in a self-protection, self-defense situation, pressure points are bullshit. That's something that a lot of self-defense instructors, so-called self-defense gurus, don't ever tell you. It's like a lot of them don't even really know what they're talking about, and they'll go into, oh yeah, pressure points. Anytime you hear somebody tell you, like, you're talking about self-defense or self-protection, and then somebody starts chiming in, oh yeah, that's great for pressure points and stuff. Anytime somebody mentions pressure points, you know they're bullshit, and they're full of shit, because pressure points are bullshit. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Now, do pressure points not exist? Do pressure points not work? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, like, a lot of the pressure points, I have a chart that shows me where all the pressure points are. Okay, and shows me exactly what they are and what they do and stuff like that. And when you actually study pressure points, you realize that they're like these little points that are about the size of the tip of your finger in a lot of cases. Okay, and the reality, common sense is, and that's why this is Johnson reality self-protection. This is based off reality, and that's why. And the reality is, in a situation, violent altercation, you're like trying to defend yourself or protect yourself from someone who's trying to take your head off and put you down on the ground, knock you out, and possibly stomp on you. Okay, the situation is moving. Okay, a lot of these guys who talk about pressure points and stuff like that, they've never been in a real situation. Because if they had been in a real situation, they wouldn't be talking about pressure points. And that's the problem with the self-defense community, is that the majority of people have never really been in a real situation. They just are freaking like, they're like, oh, like, I'll just teach self-defense. It's like, I waited for years before I decided to, make a YouTube channel, like, and start actually talking about what I do. It's like, because I was honing my craft and I've been in situations. They're going to be moving, okay? This is going to be a person who doesn't want to comply with what you want to do to him. It's like, basically, you're trying to put his lights out, he's trying to put your lights out. But at the same time, you may just be trying to neutralize the situation. But if you're in the situation, aggression is the key thing, because if you don't have skill, the next best thing is controlled aggression. Like, if you can, like, be more aggressive than the other guy, that may make a difference. But this guy, the situation is moving, and then you're telling me that you're gonna expertly hit a point on the human body that's the size of my index finger, the tip of my index finger. You're gonna tell me, like, it's like, no, you're gonna get knocked out while you're trying to do that. It's like, that's why pressure points are bullshit. That's why it's like, don't even bother, because, and that's why I like in Medusa. Medusa ain't trying to teach, little targets and stuff like that. Medusa teaches zones, but in Cyrodiil's a little bit different than Medusa, but kind of similar. But rather than teaching zones, we do teach, vital points, and rather than teaching pressure points, we teach, like, vital points. And the difference between vital points and or basically not just vital points, but like vital and pain points. The difference between vital pain points is that when you have something like this, most anywhere on the body can become a pain point. You can, like, anywhere you hit on the body, most of the time you can cause pain when you have something like this. Okay, that's the difference. Like, almost anywhere on the body is a pain point. Now, there are 40 vital pain points that the human eye can see, and we'll go into that in a different video. Like, but yeah, there are 40 points on the human body that the human eye can see. Okay, that's the thing. Like, and so that's that's where Cyrodiil is different than Medusa, because, like, Medusa just teaches zones. That's great. Like, that is a great way of putting things, but at the same time, Medusa's a edge weapon system where, they're saying their goal is, you have a live blade out and you're stabbing somebody in those zones. We're talking about if you're not using a live blade, maybe you're using something like this, or God forbid, you're having to use your empty hands, because I always say, if you are in a situation, a violent, like, altercation, and you're having to use your empty hands, so many things went wrong. But yeah, with this right here, forward grip right here, thumb on the back of this barb right here, instead of, like, trying to punch with this. And that's something that Fab Defense always said. Like I said at the beginning of this video, they always were very specific when they said this is definitely not meant to be a knuckle duster. So they don't mean this to be utilized in the same way that you would use, like, brass knuckles. So even though you look at it and you're like, oh man, I could punch with this thing right here, you absolutely can. It absolutely could be a good single knuck, but they never intended it to be used like that. This ring is good for, like, also applying pressure into these points, like, to get compliance. But in Cyrodiil, we're just going to be striking hammer fist, reverse grip wise right here, or forward grip wise. We're just striking. That just is what it is. So, I mean, in reverse grip, the barb is going to be down here, and that gives you like a whole lot of options for hammer fist striking. I mean, into the eyes, into the nose, into the jaw, under the throat, like right on the freaking collarbone here, the collarbone throat, collarbone, trapezius muscle, you know, like pectoral muscles right here, like say they come up at the top of the bicep right here, okay, floating ribs, into the abdominals, into the groin, you know, you can just really mess somebody. I mean, and getting hit with that barb really hurts. And back when we first like acquired these, I say we because it wasn't just me; it was some other people. We trained with these. We actually trained with these to see, the best way to use them, and we decided on the reverse grip because having that barb down here for hammer fist right, the thing hurts so bad. But in more recent years, I started carrying it like that. If I am just out and about and I have this in my hand, I definitely carry it a lot of times in the forward grip because, again, we show, I mean, you can hit to the pectoral muscles again, to the throat, to the bridge of the nose, to the eyes, come in to the side of the neck, come into the floating ribs, abdominal, groin, and then let's not forget, just because it's in the forward grip doesn't mean that we can't utilize the back part for still hammer fist striking. You know, so that is how we utilize the FCP, or how I utilize the FCP. Not a lot of information on this little gem of a force enhancer, but let me tell you right now, guys. I mean, it is a devastating thing, and I've been carrying like two of these. Like, got the olive drab and the tan. Carry one on each side because if I don't have to, I'm not fighting somebody or neutralizing because I'm not a fighter. Okay, I call myself more of a neutralizer. I don't train to fight. I'm not, in my opinion, a fighter is someone who is making a profession out of that. Okay, and people argue all day long. Oh, you should train to be a fighter and everything, but no, I train to be a neutralizer because that's what my system was built upon. Those three principles: engage, neutralize, and exit. Okay, and I think I don't know if we went into this in the last video, but we'll go into it again if we didn't, or if we did, we're going into it again. If we didn't, well, we're going into it now. Well, anyhow, so always remember that if you have to get into some type of altercation with somebody and maybe it be fatal, you engage, neutralize, exit the situation, you get to safety, and then you call the cops. Okay, you never just try and get into a physical altercation and then just leave and then be like, oh yeah, like I messed that guy up and he just left him lying there and stuff like that. No, you always call the cops. And there's going to be people who disagree with me on this one right here. Because you shouldn't talk to the cops and cops freaking are the devil and everything. No, no, no. It's like I'm pro cop, like I back the blue. I've never had any issue with cops. If somebody's breaking into my house, guess what? I'm calling the cops. Um, like I would rather have the cops there to defend me than me have to basically do it myself with all the stuff that I know. It's like, just because I know stuff, just because I have stuff, just because I carry stuff on a day-to-day basis, that doesn't mean that I want to ever have to use any of this stuff. I don't. I just have this stuff and I train this way and I do what I do because I know that I'm not exempt from something bad happening. I'm not naive like a lot of people out there. Okay. I've just been fortunate to not have been in as many situations that I've been in. Like I've been in some situations, but like, thank God I thank God every day I'm not one of these guys that have a lot of war stories that I like to brag about. Okay, I don't like to brag about anything that I had to do. Like we talked about that story about Robert Lyle and how I almost went to jail. I'm not proud of that. Okay, it's like I'm not proud that I had to freaking get into an altercation with him. I'm not proud of any of the altercations that I had to get into. Okay, because when I just say I had to get into them, I feel like really I didn't have to get into them. I feel like things could have been done a different way. And I feel like anytime anybody gets into an altercation, like physical and stuff like that, there's a failure there. In our character, we handled that the wrong way. We failed, the people that we got into an altercation with, and we failed ourselves. Okay, so always remember that, if you can walk away, if you can de-escalate the situation, just walk away. If somebody is road raging, honking at you, or something cuts you off and stuff like that, you don't have to, go cut them off and get out of your car and, run up to their car with a hammer and try and bust their windows out or try and freaking break their side view mirror off and stuff like that, or punch the glass of the window of their car. I've seen these people who road rage and stuff like that, where they're just doing crazy stuff. I saw a video where a dude he was road raging and he ran up to this Chevrolet truck and he had a gun in his hand and the dude in the Chevrolet truck had a gun in his truck, and when that dude ran up to he killed that guy. Okay, and I would have done the same thing. Unfortunately, you're not gonna run up like to my car with a gun, but like while I'm talking about de-escalation, maybe we don't know what happened before that, what set that dude off so high that he had to freaking felt like he needed to run up to that truck. Maybe that truck did something that was unnecessary, and I'm not saying it was like him running up to the truck with a gun was completely unnecessary, but I'm just saying that little things like that. There was a time, real quick, and I get off into tangents, but let me just tell you this story right here. There was a time, me and my wife, and at that point, my maybe 1 year old or 2 year old son, he's 3 now, but we were driving home from my mom's house, where I'm at now, where we actually live right now. We moved, but it's neither here nor there. Get off track. But anyhow, we're driving home. We had visited my mom, and we're coming home, and a guy was riding our case. He's behind us. It's dark. We're on a long country road. Like, the dude's just riding our case. He's in a pickup truck. And I thought he had his brights on because, I could hardly. He's so close to us that his lights are just shining in my rear view mirror, and they're shining in my side view mirror. And it's just freaking, and it's reflecting back up into my eyes, and it's giving me anxiety. Well, so I slow way, way, way down. And the dude would hardly go around. I had to slow way down. The speed limit on this road is like 60 miles per hour. I had to slow down to like freaking like 20 miles per hour. Finally get this dude to go around. He finally went around. And then what I did is I turned on my brights, thinking that this guy was brighting me the whole time. This was completely unnecessary. I should have just slowed down, let him go, and let him go on about his business down the road, and nothing, and just left it at that. But no, I had to turn on my brights because I thought he was brighting me the whole time, riding my case with his brights on. Well, when I turned on my brights, this is a true story. God struck me down with lightning. And thank God that nothing really bad happened from it, but something good have happened from it. But anyhow, right when I turned on my brights, that dude's like pulled over. Like he slammed on his brakes. He pulled over, and he got right back behind us, me and my wife and my son, and then he proceeded to turn on his brights. So, and this is in Florida. The dude was, I won't never forget it. The dude was driving um, a truck. It's like Moss. It's like a solar company. It's like Moss, Moss. He was driving a Moss truck, and Moss company truck, and he proceeded to ride me and my wife home the whole way. And I'm like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, well, if this guy wants some, like, I'm starting to let that road rage get the better of me. I had my car 45 or CW 45 like in the glove box. I'm telling my wife, we're about to pull in the driveway. I'm like, get the freaking gun out. If he freaking pulls in our driveway, and that was just like I go back and I think about that all the time, because I think, you got to check your ego at the door. Chris Sutton with Cobra Self Defense, he said in an interview that I used to listen to, like, when I used to drive my truck, I had a CD player. Nowadays, like, kids don't even know what a CD player is in these newer vehicles. In my car, we don't have a CD player. It's like, but in my truck, I had a CD player, and when I did the Cobra Self Defense system, that was part of the package. I got this CD interview that Chris Sutton put out, and it was a great thing, because Chris Sutton goes over a lot of stuff, but in there he talks about being able to check your ego at the door. You don't have to be like you, you don't have to get into situations like that. So, circling back to where we were going with all this real quick, it's always better just to walk away. When I turned my brights on in that situation, I could have walked away basically, even though I was driving the car. Like, hypothetically speaking, or I don't know the word I'm looking for, whatever. Basically, I could have like just walked away, as in let him go and not have some type of retaliatory response because I felt that he was riding me with his brights. No, I had to turn on my brights, and it made it where maybe he was having a bad day or something and whatever, and he's like, oh, this effer gonna turn on his brights now. Well, I'll show him. You never know what people are going through, and you never know how far people are willing to go. Okay, that's another thing. That's that case where that boy stabbed that boy in the stands just recently because apparently he was in the wrong seat or whatever and something, and now one of them are dead, and and one of them's in jail for the rest of their life, and apparently he's got the death sentence or something, I don't know, or whatever. You never know how far somebody's willing to go. And you never know what they're carrying until a lot of times it's too late. So that's why most situations aren't worth your life. You know, like that dude riding me with his brights. That's not worth my life. That's not worth the life of my wife or my child. And thank God, when we pulled into the driveway, he just went on. He didn't freaking try and, push the issue or anything. He just was making a point. But like, I didn't know that dude. He was driving his company truck, so he may have he may have still been on the clock, or he may have been getting off work, and he may have had a horrible day, and he just wasn't having it. You know what I mean? And that's just the thing. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know where somebody's head's at and whatever. And it's so easy to lose your life out here right now. Especially in Florida, where Ron DeSantis made it the wild, wild west. I like Ron DeSantis, voted for him every time I could vote for him, but I don't like everything that he does. I don't like the constitutional carry, and people will disagree with me with that. But the reason I don't like it is because I did 2 concealed weapons permit classes. One, I didn't actually get the concealed weapons permit. Everybody does that. They go through a concealed weapons permit class and they never they never go through the other processes to actually get the license. It's I got a certificate that I did a concealed weapons permit class. I got one of those. And then I actually have the actual certificate of when I actually did another concealed weapons permit class, and then actually completed it and actually got my concealed weapons permit. You know, I have my concealed weapons permit and show it to you right here. You know, it's like, so, you know, I'm not, if you can see that because the light's bad up in here, but it'll adjust. But and I take horrible pictures, but yeah, I have my concealed weapons permit. I went through the trouble to get that, and then they made constitutional carry where now every idiot who hasn't read the law on it or anything just thinks that they can carry whenever and wherever and stuff like that, and it's causing problems in some cases, but it'll probably iron itself out. But the main thing is, where we're getting back to this, is if you are in a situation that you couldn't walk away from, it's like, and you had to do something, you had to freaking defend yourself, and you know, it's like you should always be, once you get, you you enact or you do E&E, engage, neutralize, exit situation, you need to contact the authorities, depending on how bad it is. Um, like, who knows, you may have killed somebody, or you may just got into a situation where, you know, like you busted somebody up or you got into regardless, you need to always contact the authorities. You need to get to a safe place, contact the cops, and let them know what's going on. And if you had to like defend yourself with lethal force, not only do you need to contact the authorities, you need to go turn yourself in. Um, and why I say that, and a lot of people disagree with this, but why I say that is because, you know, we don't live in an era where you can just get away with anything. There's cameras all around. Everybody's got cell phones on, or cameras on their cell phones. There's cameras on traffic lights and like on the storefront of like these stores and stuff like that. You know, you're not going to get away with it. If you ever watched ID, they're gonna find out. Cops are very good at what they do, and they have a lot of technology at their disposal. They're gonna investigate, and they're gonna find out what exactly happened. And if you didn't come to them first, it makes you look bad. Okay, like it makes you look like you're trying to hide something. You don't ever need to hide anything. You know, what's going to happen is going to happen. Okay, like if you're in a situation where you have to use lethal force or whatever, you know, unfortunately, that it's like there's gonna be a day. You know, you, if you have to take a life or something, you're gonna be tried. You're gonna stand in front of a jury, and they're gonna decide whether you used adequate force for the situation, or if you used excessive force, and that's going to determine whether you walk free, or if you know the, your freedoms are taken for the rest of your life. It's gonna, regardless of um, if you want that to happen or not, that's gonna happen. And if you freaking delay, you know, coming to the cops and telling your side of the story, um, what's gonna happen is like that's gonna like be presented to a jury who doesn't know anything about self-defense. A lot of times these are random people, a lot of times who just selected, like, who know nothing, like, who sometimes these people are idiots. But that's going to be what's brought to them, like, hey, well, he tried to avoid, he didn't turn himself in, he didn't come, he tried to hide the weapon and stuff like that, and you know that's going to look very bad. So it's imperative that, like, regardless of the situation, because you know people say you don't have to tell the cops anymore, then that's something right there too. When I say, turn yourself in, tell the cops your side of the story, you don't have to tell them any more than that. And you tell them your story, you stick to it, and then you get a freaking attorney or a lawyer. And like I said, I'm not represented by attorneys on retainer, but I've seen them on from another channel that I'm subscribed to, Heavy Duty Country, and like it probably would be good. It's like I'm thinking that I should get attorneys on retainer, like, but probably good to have something like that. Well, not even probably good to have something. It definitely is good to have something like that. That woman, Kayla Giles or whatever, I think it was her name. Like she wishes she had attorneys on retainer and not the whatever it is, the USCCA or whatever it is. But yeah, this video, of course, is going long because now that I decided to talk in them, it's like they go long. But the FCP, something like this, can possibly stop you from having to take a life or whatever or something. But absolutely recommend it. And like I say, you can use it in reverse grip or forward grip, and like really regardless how you use this thing, in a lot of ways it's going to hurt bad. But hey guys, I'm Ja, and this has been another episode of JRSP, Johnson Reality Self Protection. Yeah, always remember, that it's always better just to walk away when you can, like don't get in any unnecessary situation that could cost you your life, and in so many different ways. It could cost you your actual life where you no longer exist in this world, or it can cost you your life where you're behind bars for the rest of your life. So that's not much of a life. So hey guys, y'all take it easy.